Hey guys, this is going to be a quick tutorial on how to use Sony Vegas, happens to be Sony Vegas 10, to add a blue screen effect, which essentially adds a cockpit to your FPV or aerial photography videos. And essentially it's going to make it look like, and I'll show you an example right here. So it's going to make a blank video of your aerial photography look like this, or even like this. So you can see how that can be interesting. So alright, back to the screen here. Basically what you want to do is you want to have your files available, and you want to have first of all, you're going to have your blue screen cockpit, and you can do this with any cockpit you want, but I've created 3 templates here. One's a fighter jet, one's a it's a P-47, but it's basically a Warbird, World War II Warbird, and then there's your basically a small light aircraft, like a Piper Sport or a Cessna or whatever it happens to be. This one happens to have a glass cockpit in it, which I'll show you in another tutorial, but which you can put your whatever you want in there, and it's basically like a little TV screen inside of your actual overall video. So anyway, then you're going to have your actual flight video, which I've already prepared examples, and that's pretty much it. So what you want to do is you want to drag or open. There's both ways to do it. You can either drag your project files into your main window here, or you can do it the other way where you can open it and you can find it. Mine's in my blue screen folder, and then you can open up, like, say for example, we're going to do the blue screen of the Warbird. So now you have your project files in there, and as you can see it, I've already had this started, so it's already opened them. But let's pretend like we're starting from scratch. And in any case, so you're going to drag your flight example down. That puts your video on your screen. You're going to create or insert a track. There's a few other ways to do that, but that's just one. You can always put the one in first. But the important thing to remember is that your blue screen effect has to be above your video. It has to be above. Otherwise, if you drop it down here, you can see you don't even see it. So what you're going to do is you're going to put it above, and you're going to extend it all the way out to the full length of the video. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of a line on top, a little bit at bottom, and of course you don't see any of the real world out there, so that's the effect we're trying to achieve. So first of all, I'm going to leave it like this. Well, no, I take that back. You're going to click the window right here. It's called the Event Pan Crop on your actual folder, and what that does is that brings open a folder which, if you pay attention between this one and this one, you're going to see how that moves it around. And that's important because not only do we want to do that, but we want to extend it out to the full screen. So what we're going to do in the future is we're going to extend this out to a 16:9 widescreen, so it'll fit the entire screen entirely. But for the time being, I just wanted to drag this down to a point here where I can see more of my my screen basically up here, because that's going to be important here in a second. You'll see why. All right, so after you do that, you're going to drag an effect on, and that effect is going to be called Chroma Keyer. And that Chroma Keyer gives you a blue screen, green screen, red screen, a few other different screens that operate the same way. But seeing that there's so much green in this particular template, I wanted to go with blue. So I made it a blue screen because there's not much blue involved. If you have a cockpit that has blue in it, you're going to want to pick another color, because obviously anything that's blue is going to be transparent in the future here. So if you have blue components in your cockpit, those components are going to be invisible, and you're going to be able to see beyond them, which you don't want. So anyway, so we're going to select blue screen. We're going to drag it down to our blue screen tile, and you can see automatically, boom, it changes everything, and you can now see everything that was blue. The problem is, of course, is there's a different tone to it, and if you played this video, it's not that obvious, but there's a possibility that you will see some of the background through even the darker points, and that's what you're going to adjust here. So what you're going to go is you're going to go to the low threshold, and you're going to pay attention to this break in scene right here, and you're going to increase it until that blends almost perfectly. Not too much, of course, but just so it just barely blends. And you can see right about there, it blends maybe just a tad more. I'll make it just a little bit more to be safe. And then you're going to drag this one down to a point where it looks about right. And it's about, I'm looking at like some of the features right here. And as I drag it down, it darkens those a little too much. So I'm going to make it right about here. And that should be about right. So you're going to close this window because that's all complete now. And we're going to go back to that original effects. I'm sorry. We're going to go back to the original shape. And we're going to drag this down to center screen. You see how that operates everything here in real time. And we're going to change this straight up to 16 by 9. So that'll fit the exact window. See how that increased the window there. And it's going to cut a little off the edges, which is unfortunate. But we can always... and we can't really fit it, unfortunately. So a little bit of our wingtips are going to be cut off. It's not a big deal. We can always drag this over so at least our cannons right here and here are centered. So that's about right there. And you in a different cockpit, like for example the Cessna, you can actually drag this all the way down. I'm sorry, it's up is down, which is really strange. You can actually drag this all the way down and hide a lot of that cockpit, maybe even just half of it, so you have more viewable screen. But on this particular template, it's a Warbird, and the cockpit up above would look odd because obviously you're missing stanchions here. So we're going to make this right nice dead in center, and then we're going to close that out. So now you have pretty much everything you're going to have. You see that everything is as it would be. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, post them down below in the window, and I'll try to answer them. Thanks. Bye-bye.